Better?
Better, yes.
I just farted.
That's the first thing they're going to hear.
What?
Hello, Jacksonites. Yes, you read the title right. Looks like Doom 2 is going to be pushed back a little ways.
That stinks.
um,
I just farted again. Fucking pizza bagels, man.
you read the title right. I saw King of the Monsters. But I didn't just see King of the Monsters. Me and my wife saw King of the Monsters. Today I will be reviewing Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And oh my god. Spoilers. I loved it. Even my wife loved it. And every day she's telling me I want to see it again. Somebody who is not really a dedicated Godzilla fan, who in hindsight gives 2014 a 2 out of 10. Right? Well, it'd be better if you could see it. Somebody who is not a huge Godzilla fan liked King of the Monsters. I loved it. That there's the long and the short of my thoughts on King of the Monsters. I loved it. So I don't even know where to start. It's a masterpiece. A total masterpiece. This is the Godzilla movie that American Godzilla fans have been waiting for years. As much as I love Godzilla in 1998, that movie can go fuck off and die as a Godzilla movie. 2014, I hate to say it, but it's a vastly inferior film. King of the Monsters is where an American Godzilla lies. Any future attempts in a separate series should take notes from this movie. This is how you do an American Godzilla movie. So I'm not going to beat around the bush, guys. I was absolutely fucking blown the fuck away by Godzilla King of the Monsters. Really entertaining. A big giant love letter to classic Godzilla movies. It's a Godzilla movie that is made for diehard Godzilla fans with a $200 million budget, which it absolutely earns the ever-living fuck out of. So with that being said, let us jump into the plot for Godzilla King of the Monsters, shall we? By the way, super spoil heavy plot synopsis here. So that being said, let's get into it. Damn, it's already almost at $300 million. Paleobiologist Emma Russell, played by Vera Farmiga, a.k.a. Lorraine Warren from the Conjuring movies, works for the cryptozoological organization known as Monarch, of course, tracking down and studying titans, gigantic creatures that once dominated the Earth. She and her daughter Madison, played by my wife's favorite actress, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things fame, witnessed the birth of a giant larva dubbed Mothra. Emma calms Mothra down with a device known as the Orca, which is capable of emitting frequencies on a bioorganic or bioacoustic level that can attract or alter Titan behavior. A group of eco-terrorists led by Alan Jonah, played by Charles Dance. Sounds familiar. Attacks and kidnaps both Emma and Madison. Mothra manages to escape the facility and cocoon herself into a nearby waterfall. Monarch scientist Dr. Sarazawa and Dr. Vivian Graham approach Mark Russell to Mark Russell, to track down Emma and Madison, of course being Emma's ex-husband and Madison's father. Mark is reluctant to do so, however, due to his hatred for Godzilla, for his other child, Andrew, was killed during the 2014 attack on San Francisco. They follow Godzilla to Antarctica, where Jonah intends to free a Titan encased in ice, codenamed Monster Zero. Emma frees and awakens Monster Zero, who kills several Monarch members before engaging Godzilla in a fight. Fucking entertaining fight. The Monarch team realizes that Emma was not kidnapped by the terrorists, and she is in fact working with them. Emma calls them on a video chat and argues with them that the Titans will cull humanity and return the planet to its untainted state, all to avenge Andrew. I will touch upon this part of the movie a little later, but for now, let's just move on. Jonah and Emma reawaken Rodan in a volcano in Mexico, and Monarch lures Rodan into fighting the approaching Monster Zero. However, Rodan is swiftly defeated before being ambushed by Godzilla. The Navy launches a missile known as the Oxygen Destroyer, seemingly killing Godzilla. Monster Zero survives, and in an extremely epic shot, despite the cross being clearly visible in the shot, awakens other dormant titans around the planet with a giant ear-splitting screech, with Rodan submitting to its rule and causing Madison to disown her mother. Through mythological texts, Dr. Irene Chen discovers that Monster Zero is in fact King Ghidorah, an ancient alien seeking to terraform the planet now that its primary rival, Godzilla, is disposed of. Mothra emerges from her cocoon in one of the best shots of the whole movie, where she opens up her wings inside of the waterfall and flies to Monarch's Bermuda facility to communicate with Godzilla, who had survived the Oxygen Destroyer and is recuperating in an ancient underwater city. Monarch decides to revive Godzilla so as to contest Ghidorah's influence over the other Titans, and traveling via submarine, Monarch locates Godzilla's undersea lair, where the whole area around him is highly radioactive. They deduce it will take many years for Godzilla to absorb enough radiation to fully heal on his own, and Monarch decides to detonate a nuclear weapon to speed up his healing process. Dr. Serizawa sacrifices himself by manually detonating the nuclear warhead, which revives Godzilla and also exponentially increases his power. In Boston, Emma realizes that the destruction Ghidorah and the other Titans will bring to the Earth is far worse than what humans could inflict, but Jonah ignores her pleas to turn back. Madison overhears this and steals the Orca, and arriving in Fenway Park, Madison broadcasts a frequency that calms and unwittingly attracts all of the Titans to its location. Ghidorah arrives in Boston to destroy the Orca, with Godzilla appearing with Monarch's assistance to engage it in combat. Mark leads a Monarch team to rescue Madison and escape the city after learning that Godzilla's radiation levels are increasing rapidly and could lead to a thermonuclear explosion. Mothra arrives to help Godzilla, however she is intercepted by Rodan while Godzilla battles Ghidorah. Ghidorah overpowers Godzilla and prepares to kill him, but Mothra defeats Rodan and sacrifices herself to shield Godzilla from Ghidorah, and she is disintegrated by Ghidorah's gravity beams. However, her ashes rain down onto Godzilla, and they transfer her energy into him, rapidly healing him in the process. Mark, Emma, and Madison are reunited and reactivate the Orca to lure Ghidorah away from an injured Godzilla, and Emma drives away with the Orca, luring Ghidorah away from Mark and Madison, allowing them to escape. Emma dies, told you, but Godzilla recovers, entering a newly empowered state, glowing red and melting everything around him. He disintegrates Ghidorah with several nuclear pulses before reverting to normal, with one of Ghidorah's heads being eaten by Godzilla, and eventually Godzilla fires off a blast of his atomic breath, destroying Ghidorah once and for all. Rodan and the other Titans arrive and bow before him as Godzilla roars to the sky in an awesome epic shot. And during the credits, news clippings and Monarch files show that the Titans are indeed healing the Earth. A second Mothra egg is discovered, and all Titans are converging on Skull Island, and that ancient cave paintings show Godzilla battling Kong. In a post-credit scene, Jonah and his forces purchase Ghidorah's remaining severed head from a fisherman, thus ending the movie and hopefully leading into the equally or even more so epic movie that is Godzilla vs. Kong. Team Godzilla forever. Fuck off, Kong. So how about how about this story? Awesome. It is fucking awesome. I got nothing bad to say about it. The story is fantastic. I really don't give a fuck about what other people are saying. Saying it should have had more developed stories, should have had more developed human characters. Fuck off. As long as the story is coherent and it's not paper thin, and the actors give good performances and are at least written well, I don't give a fuck what they do. I think this is a very good story, but I'll get into that a little later. So let's jump into the pros. Brace yourselves, guys. I have a lot of good things to say about this movie. The runtime for this movie, I have to say, is very good. When I heard that the movie is only 2 hours and 13 minutes long, I can't deny I was slightly disappointed because I had just got done seeing Aquaman, and Aquaman is 2 hours and 23 minutes long. I think that is a perfect runtime for a movie nowadays. I can't watch a new 90-minute long movie nowadays. It just doesn't work for me, especially if it has a really good concept. I can't watch an hour and a half long movie. It just doesn't work. But I am perfectly fine with this movie being 2 hours and 13 minutes. It told its story in the way that it wanted to tell it. Oh, Jesus. Hang on.
Did you just fart?
No, it was Gramps trolling me. Anyway.
Your ass, don't lie.
No, it was Gramps.
It was your ass.
It was Gramps.
It was your ass.
It was Gramps.
Ass.
Gramps.
Ass.
Gramps.
Ass.
Gramps.
Ass.
Married life, guys.
States too.
Don't you love it?
Ass.
No, it wasn't, babe.
Yes, it was.
No, it tain't.
Whatever. Fucking lying.
Not really. Don't ever do that to your wife, guys. Anyway. The runtime is perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with it being 2 hours and 13 minutes. It's 9 or 10 minutes longer than 2014. Perfectly fine with that. I also think it's like 20 minutes longer than Kong Skull Island. Much as I love Kong Skull Island, that's also good. Pro number 2 is the pacing for this movie is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. No scene drags. No scene feels like it goes on for too long. No scene feels like it's too short. The movie moves along at an extremely cinematic pace. You're never bored. You're never teased. You never feel cheated. It's a little slow when it needs to be, and it's quick and to the point when it needs to be. This is a perfectly paced movie. You can watch it from beginning to end, never be bored, never feel antsy, ever. Anyone who says that, fuck off. Or anyone who says that it's not perfectly paced, fuck off. Let's see. Pro number 3. The story, I think it's perfectly good. It's perfectly fine. It crammed, or not just cram, it has a lot going on in it. And it has a lot to focus on, and I think that it focuses on what it needs to perfectly fine. Way better than Godzilla 2014. Godzilla 2014 had potential and has potential for a great story. But it's bogged down with its bland human characters. And also the fact that it's so fucking dark half the time that you can't even see what the hell's going on. Maybe he might have. Though if he does, where's my royalty check? What what was I looking for? Oh yeah. So the story is perfectly fine. It sort of does feel a little bit like, or not sort of. It does feel a tad bit like um a little bit of a retread of of Ghidorah the three-headed monster, but honestly, I think this is a far superior film to Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Ghidorah the three-headed monster ain't shit compared to this movie, as far as I'm concerned. No offense to anyone who likes that movie, doesn't work. This movie blows that movie out of the water, as far as I'm concerned. It takes the structure and the blueprints of Ghidorah the three-headed monster and turns it into its own thing and something that is infinitely better than that film. So the story is absolutely fantastic. Pro number 4, I think the human characters are fun. Kyle Chandler as Dr. Mark Russell. He's a fun protagonist. Well, he's not fun. He's a good protagonist. I like they kind of do a good version of what's her name? Ayana from Gamera 3. He's kind of similar to her, that he lost somebody that he loved in a monster attack, and at first he's bitter on an understandable level because he lost his son. And at first he is, he's like, kill Godzilla, just kill them all, kill all the monsters. However, when he realizes how much of a goddamn shit show that the movie is shoving upon him, he comes to terms with his loss. He makes peace with what he has, and he makes peace with Godzilla in the process, and learns that Godzilla he's not evil. He's kind of a far lesser of two evils. Sorry if I'm a little disjointed. There's just so much I have to say about this movie, and I fucking love this movie. I just don't know where to start, but I like Dr. Mark. He's a good protagonist. Vera Farmiga as Emma Russell. I was a little skeptical about having. Hang on. What the hell is that? Oh, brother. I'll tell you later. So Vera Farmiga, I was a little skeptical with her being cast in this movie. I thought that the bullshit poison that is SJW bullshit was finally leaking into my favorite franchise and rearing its ugly head and tarnishing my favorite franchise. Thankfully, it does not. Though her character's motivations are a little questionable, she does give a very genuinely good performance in this movie, and I think that while I don't think she deserves an Oscar, she definitely should receive some recognition for this film, because I think she does really, really, really good. I like that her character, at first, she's blind to all the damage that she's causing by releasing monsters, and she just thinks, oh, I have the greater good in mind. But then she realizes, oh my god, I've just released a monster that could destroy the planet that I live on. Kind of like a better version of Ghidorah 91, actually. So she does a good job. I didn't expect her to die, but she does a good job. Millie Bobby Brown as Madison Russell. I've only seen her in Stranger Things, so other than this, I don't know her acting experience. She is very good in Stranger Things. I have to admit, I think she's a little better in season 1, because season 1's my favorite of Stranger Things. Sorry, babe. She's my wife is a giant Stranger Things fan. But Millie Bobby Brown does absolutely phenomenal in this movie. I actually think she's better in this movie than all of Stranger Things. Not just saying that because I'm biased to Godzilla. You're going to shit yourself one of these days. Did you shit yourself? Go to the bathroom.
I didn't. I have no underwear on. That would really suck if I did. Ew. Don't be nasty.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is absolutely fantastic in this film. She deserves an Oscar because she gives a genuinely good performance. And she does some of the smartest shit in this movie. So kudos to her character. Let's see. Who's this guy? Oh, we have Bradley Whitford as Dr. Rick Stanton, the comic relief of this movie. Okay. I get the feeling that a lot of people are going to have problems with this character. And I'm just going to say anybody who does is a fucking idiot. Bradley Whitford as Dr. Rick Stanton is fucking outstanding. Yeah, as Justin said, sure, let's bring him in for a beer. He's the right kind of comic relief. He's not the comic relief that feels shoved in there and has to spout off funny quote unquote lines just because they want to have somebody be funny. And this comic relief, usually when they're written like that, they're useless to the plot. They're only there to just be funny. And I kind of hate to say this, but Jar Jar Binks is one of those kinds of characters. Much as I love Jar Jar Binks, all you prequel haters out there, I don't give a fuck. I love Jar Jar Binks. I think he's funny. However, objectively, I can see that Jar Jar Binks is that kind of comic relief. He is written to be that kind of comic relief. Stanton is not. He's not that kind of comic relief. No, I didn't laugh when Barnes said that. I was just surprised that, okay, they're saying fuck in a Godzilla movie. That's new. But then again, they said fuck in Kong Skull Island, so whatever. Stanton is useful to the plot because he's a crypto sonographer, so he knows sounds of monsters, and he's just overall useful to the plot. And he's also funny. He has a very dry well, not really witless, but it's kind of witty, but it's also it's dry sarcasm. Like there's one line that had me cracking up where he said, I think we should stop. Why? Because I don't know about you, but I'd like to have kids someday. When they're trying to find Godzilla's realm and the radioactivity is so high that he says, hey, we're approaching danger zone here. We should stop. There's another scene. It's shown in the trailer, but it was the scene where one of the characters went, "My God, Zilla." I was cracking up. I'll admit. He's the right kind of comic relief. He's useful to the plot, and he's not overly funny, but he provides just the right amount of humor to slightly alleviate the scene and give you a little chuckle. Then you move on to the next scene of the movie. And it's also not telegraphed too. A lot of his moments where he's funny, they don't feel forced and they don't feel shoved in. They just feel like he's just being himself, and that's good. That's the kind of humor that I like. So A+ there. And the rest of the cast, they do a good job. But the last character I want to talk about is, of course, Ken Watanabe as Dr. Ishiro Zarazawa. When I saw the trailers of this movie, long before I read the plot, one thing that I predicted was, hang on, I knew he was going to die. And lo and behold, I was right. Okay. I was reading something. Ken Watanabe's performance, it's not quite as like doomy and full of despair as it was in the first movie. However, he brings a lot of that back into his performance. But I feel like he gets to flex his acting muscles a little bit more in this movie, partially because he has a little bit more screen time than he did in 2014. He has a lot more dialogue than he does in 2014. And I feel like his personality is expanded upon a little bit more in this movie than in 2014. So Ken Watanabe gives an absolutely fantastic performance in this movie and couldn't have done a better job. But again, I knew he was going to die. And when I saw the movie and I read the plot, one of the first things that I said was, I was right. He's going to die. So the characters, they're all absolutely phenomenal. Oh, and by the way, yes, I know the Shape of Water chick is in this movie, and I know she gets killed off. Whatever. She does a good job in this movie, too. Though she's not in it that much. That's why I'm not really saying much about her. Let's see. What have I done? 1, 2. Pro number 5, the music score. Bear McCreary, you better fucking return for Godzilla vs. Kong. Holy fuck. This kind of leads into the Easter eggs and references that I have, which is pro number 6. The music score for this movie. I'm going to go this far. It's in my top 10 favorites of Godzilla scores of all time. Oh my God. It's clear that Bear McCreary is a giant Godzilla fan. There are so many classic Godzilla themes in this movie. It's not even funny. You have Godzilla's theme, of course. When I first heard the song Old Rivals on the soundtrack, I said to myself, that better play during the first time that Godzilla fights Ghidorah in the movie. And lo and behold, I was right as well. And that caused me to have a little bit of a nerdgasm. She caught the brunt of it.
Wait. What the fuck did you just say?
I'll tell you later.
No. Tell me now.
No, go back in the stream.
What the fuck?
I said I had a little bit of an nerdgasm.
Uh-huh.
And you caught the brunt of it.
What the fuck does that mean?
Oh my God, use your imagination.
What the fuck is that?
Oh.
Caught the one of it?
Brunt of it. Like you caught the most of my nerdgasm.
Yeah, because I had the unfortunate thing of sitting right next to you while you roared like a fucking idiot.
Yes, they include the Mothra theme, which I also loved. I couldn't tell if there was any Rodan music, because admittedly I'm not super familiar with the Rodan soundtrack as I am with Godzilla and Mothra, but whatever. There's a lot of Oh, I get you. Okay, there's that too. But yeah, the music score for this movie is absolutely phenomenal. It is a pure love letter to classic Akira Ifukube Showa era Godzilla stuff. You have Godzilla's theme, you have the Godzilla March, you have Mothra's theme. The music to this movie is absolutely phenomenal. It should win if it doesn't win an Oscar for best soundtrack, I have no faith left in humanity. The fucking score in this movie is awesome. That alone gives me a nerdgasm. Oh yeah, there's the new version of the Bully Oyster Cult Godzilla song that plays during the credits. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love this movie. Oh my God, I love this movie. Let's see. Pro number 6 is all the Easter eggs and references sprinkled throughout the movie. They're not shoved in your face, but if you're looking, you'll find them. They use the classic Godzilla roar for Godzilla a few times throughout this movie, which kind of surprised me. I'll take it. Sure. At the beginning of the movie, you can see somebody holding a sign for people protesting monsters that says "Destroy all monsters." And that may have been a coincidence, but come on now, how is that not a reference? Um, Godzilla's redesign, which harkens back to the '54 design. Um, actually, it just felt like this was that the director was really trying to pay tribute to the show. I got more of a Showa era Godzilla feel to this movie. Some say there's a little bit of the Heisei series, and you could say, well, maybe a little bit, but I feel like this was mainly more of a Showa era esque Godzilla movie, so that's perfectly fine. The overall feel is very much like a Showa era movie, just with a $200 million budget. Oh yeah, and the credits, there's plenty of Easter eggs too. So that definitely props to there. It's clear that the people who made this movie were giant Godzilla fans. Scenes in Antarctica were kind of like Final Wars, yeah. So yeah, all the Easter eggs and the references throughout the movie sprinkled in there. Love it. If you're a diehard Godzilla fan, you will appreciate those. Let's see. Pro number 7. Speaking of which, Godzilla himself. I'll answer that question a little later, Sean. Godzilla in this movie is phenomenal. You feel a little bit more of his personality comes through here. The guy who played him in the first movie also does reprise his role as Godzilla here, so that definitely is a plus. I feel like Godzilla's personality is shown a little bit more in this movie. He's a lot more of a badass than he was in the previous movie. He looks better than he did in the previous movie. He sounds better. He acts better. Godzilla in this movie is a fucking badass. A total, complete badass. And as Sean said earlier in the chat, he goes through the hero's journey in this movie, and it's phenomenal. I also want to talk about his design for a moment. I love it. It's very similar to his previous incarnation, of course, but his tail is a little bit shorter, which I do like, and his dorsal spines are modeled more in the 1954 design, which I do like. I did hear some people say, like, when the first image was released of Godzilla shooting his atomic breath toward the sky, um, the first thing a lot of people said was, "Look how fat he is." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, guys?" Um, he's a little slimmer than he was in 2014. His feet aren't quite as elephant-like as they were in the previous movie. Like his toe claws are actually, they look more like claws rather than just kind of like elephant nails. His arms are a little longer. His hands are a little bigger. His shoulders a little more broad, which kind of makes him. In 2014, he looked kind of triangular, but here he looks a little more bulkier. Um, Overall, and his atomic breath is not just a stream of radioactive water; it's a stream of radioactive fire. Um, this is definitely a better version for an American Godzilla. It's still very similar to the previous movie, so you can clearly tell, duh, that's Godzilla. But his design has been tweaked a little bit somewhat for the better. Not that I have anything against the design in 2014. It's still a good design. I still prefer this one because it looks more like the classic Godzilla design while still being new. Oh, and the inclusion of classic Godzilla roars mixed along with the new 2014 roar. Loved it. And the power-up sound effect for Godzilla's atomic breath, she's still addicted to it. She gets a smile on her face whenever I do it. She wants to see it again. Godzilla overall in this movie is fucking spectacular. No, I don't give a shit Let's see. Da, da, da. 1, 2, 3. Pro number 8, I think. Yeah, pro number 8 for the first time in all of my Godzilla reviews. King Ghidorah is pro number 8. This is hands down the greatest version of King Ghidorah that has ever been conceived. Fuck Planet Eater. That is a terrible version of Ghidorah. This is how you do King Ghidorah. You don't have him under mind control. You don't have him be completely forced and shoehorned in like he was in Godzilla vs. Gigan, as much as I love that movie. You give him his own goddamn personality. You make him a legitimate threat. And you make him look like a total badass. And you make him a fucking worthy rival to Godzilla. And yeah, I have to say, this is the second most evil version of Ghidorah. I love that each head of Ghidorah has its own personality. The main head is clearly the alpha of the three. The one on the right is just kind of mellow, and the one on the left is kind of the goofball of the three. But they still do work as a single mind to become a total badass. And is definitely a worthy rival for Godzilla. I love Ghidorah's design in this movie. It's very, very dragon-like. Gone is the hair of the Showa design. Gone is the annoying chirps and the sound effect that's done when he flies. He's a fucking superstorm system whenever he flies around, which I love. His gravity beams are totally badass, and they incinerate everything in their path. I fucking love this version of Ghidorah. I absolutely love it. This is the greatest version of Ghidorah ever made. And if I was to do a top 15 favorite Godzilla monsters, I would specifically put this version of Ghidorah as or being in that list. Not sure which one it would be, but this version of Ghidorah would definitely be on there. Now, if only I won't be surprised if he comes back in Godzilla versus Kong, though. If it's like more of a Hydra type thing, I'd be all right with that too, or like an Orochi, to give another callback to an obscure Toho monster. I love this version of Ghidorah. He's a total badass. I love his design. I love his powers. Whenever he's on screen, you feel like he is a legitimate, genuine threat. Holy fuck, Ghidorah is awesome in this movie. Let's see. Pro number 9 is the human action scenes in this movie are pretty entertaining. Definitely blow whatever bullshit was in the first movie out of the water. The human action scenes, there's not that much in it, but whenever there's well done human action scenes that are done in Godzilla movies, like in Godzilla vs. Biollante or even Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, yeah, I said that. I'll take them. They're well done. They're a little bit short, but they're still. Excuse me. They're still well done. They're still entertaining. They're well choreographed. They're well edited. They're well shot. They're a welcome addition to the film. Pro number 10 is the action scenes in this movie with the monster fights, essentially, are entertaining as fuck. Like nerdgasm inducing entertaining. All of Godzilla's fights with Ghidorah are fucking amazing. I do like how they updated this Godzilla's fighting style a little bit. He still is much more of a ground and pound, down to earth, fight like a big predator type combatant. However, because his atomic breath has been updated, he feels a little bit more like the Showa Godzilla, where he was also kind of physical, but whenever his atomic breath would come into play, he would use it. This Godzilla does that. He still is a biter. He still uses his hands. He certainly uses his tail. This Godzilla is a brawler with an energy attack. Love it. Mothra's fight with Rodan, you may have noticed I haven't really been talking much about the other monsters. The other titans throughout the world are certainly welcome additions, like the giant spider, who everyone said was going to be Kumonga, but he's not. He looks great. The mammoth slash gorilla looking thing certainly is an interesting design. I would like to see more of him in Kong or Godzilla vs. Kong. The rock monster, I want to see more of that. There's even a new Muto that's introduced in this film, which I want to see more of. All the other monsters are fantastic, but got Mothra's little fight with Rodan. It's entertaining for what it is. It's a tad short, but it's still good. It's still very entertaining. The way that Mothra defeats Rodan is certainly did come out of nowhere. She stings him with her stinger. Sounded good to me. But the monster action scenes in this movie are fucking entertaining. If you say this movie is bad because there's too much monster action, you are a retard. And you should just go into a corner and die. The monster action is entertaining as fuck. I will also talk about Mothra and Rodan for just a quick second. Rodan, I was kind of skeptical about because I wasn't really digging his design. But now that I actually have seen it in the movie, I like it. I like that it's kind of a menagerie of things. It's a big reference to the original Rodan because they were born in volcanoes. This Rodan is born in a volcano. I like that this Rodan looks like a mix of a pterodactyl and yeah, he's a literal fire Rodan. I like that he's a mix of a pterodactyl and a bird, making the connections between dinosaurs and birds a little more literal with this character. He certainly does have a presence on this in this movie. I do like his design, and I love that he looks like a phoenix. You could call this Phoenix Rodan if you want. I like this version of Rodan. He's not in the movie all that much, and I would have liked him and Mothra's fight to be a little longer, but still what we have, it's fine. And let's talk about Mothra. She's not in the movie that much, which is a tad bit disappointing, but I love her design. I like that it's a mix of moth and butterfly design. She has the body more of like a moth, but she has the wings of a butterfly. But also, I feel like the biggest inspiration for Mothra comes from the Atlas moth, which I like. When she's glowing and when she's flying about, she looks gorgeous. I mean, the scene where she's born in the waterfall and she unfolds her wings, awesome scene. Her fight with Rodan, yeah, like I keep saying, it's a little short. And Mothra is probably, as much as I hate to say it, she's and I like that she can still spit silk. She didn't just do that as a larva, but now when she's fully grown, she can still do that. She also has a stinger. But as much as I hate to say it, I feel like Mothra is the weakest monster in this movie, at least of the main four, because she just doesn't have that much screen time. I don't know why. Maybe it was intentional. But whatever. Mothra is still good. And the last pro number 11. This movie has amazing special effects. Yeah, it's green screen and blue screen and composite shots and CG and motion capture, but you know what? It looks fucking good. Gone is the drab, dreary, dark, almost Tim Burton-esque feel of 2014. It works for that movie because it's more like a disaster movie. This is an action movie, and this is a monster movie. There's got to be more action. You can actually fucking see what's going on this time. It's very colorful. There's lots of deep reds and oranges and blues, and yellows. This movie is very colorful. The CG looks great. The blue screens and green screens and composite shots all look amazing. This movie had a $200 million budget, and it deserved and used every cent of that budget very well. Oh my God, does this movie have amazing special effects? Godzilla looks fantastic. Ghidorah looks fantastic. Mothra looks really good. Rodan looks really good. All the other monsters look good. The special effects are amazing in this movie. Some of the best effects of any Godzilla movie I have ever seen. So, with all that being said, do I have any cons with this film? No. No, I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. I have two minor nitpicks. The first being Mothra could have been on screen a little more. And also, two, I feel like Emma's motivations for her character are a little cliche. I'm going to activate monsters to cure and help the planet, but I'm unknowingly unleashing a greater evil. It kind of feels slightly like a forced environmental allegory, and it feels a little bit like a carryover from Aquaman and also Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. But other than that, I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this movie. This is the American Godzilla movie that fans have been waiting for 20 years. Actually, yeah, 20 years. This is a fucking masterpiece Godzilla movie. One of the greatest Godzilla movies ever made. And it's one of my favorite Godzilla movies of all time. I loved this movie. This is a worthy sequel to 2014. Well, I can give it a definitive rating. I am giving this movie a perfect solid gold 56 karat diamond gem 10 out of fucking 10. This is a masterpiece of modern American cinema. Anybody who says this movie is bad, you are a retard. A straight up, like IQ level 5 points of IQ. Retard. You make Forrest Gump look like, what's his name? Stephen Hawking. Anybody who says this is bad, you're an idiot. Better than KSI? What the hell's that? Oh, is it better than Kong Skull Island? Yeah. As much as I love Kong Skull Island, and I do, I still love that movie to absolute death. This is a superior film. If the MonsterVerse can just keep getting better and better and better and better, I may have to say this is the best cinematic universe ever made. Fuck off, MCU. You got some great movies, and yes, Age of Ultron is my all-time favorite superhero movie, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies in general. The MonsterVerse has it beat. Fuck off, Justin. King Kong vs. Godzilla doesn't have shit on this movie. 10 out of 10. Go out and buy it. Pirate it. Fuck it. Watch this movie. It's a masterpiece of American cinema. If it doesn't get selected for preservation at the National Library of Congress, well, the government's an idiot, but the government is a true idiot and doesn't know what a good movie is. Fuck you, Schindler's List. And fuck off, Mr. Taco. So, post your comments down below and let me know what you fucking think. If you disagree with me, go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. If you agree, tell me why you love this movie so we can have a good conversation. And look forward to two very... Sean, my favorite part. The third act. The third act has the most action, has the most... Okay, everything from when Godzilla rises out of the ocean fully healed, and you hear the redone Godzilla March theme where he looks at the Monarch people. From that point on, that's when the movie really, really, really sold me. So kudos to that. Look forward to two very special videos. The one I will say, The one video that I will spoil, the next one that's coming up, I don't know what that means. The next video coming up will be my ranking of the entire Godzilla franchise. Oh boy. And after that, actually, I'll just tell you both. The next two videos I am making is ranking the Godzilla franchise, and after that is ranking all Godzilla, Toho Sci-Fi, King Kong, and Gamera movies in one list. That is 70 movies done in one ranking video. That's going to take a little bit because I haven't even started it, but look forward to that. I am done with the ranking of the Godzilla franchise, so that'll come either tomorrow or the next day. And as always, go out and you better fucking watch this movie, because if you don't, you're an idiot. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Go see Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's a fucking masterpiece.